my lighting good enough?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Hello, everybody. Where are you guys logged in from? Welcome to the event today. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, everyone. Sunday, how are you? Welcome. Welcome, everybody. As usual, guys, can you rep your city? Tell us where you are watching from, as usual. Tell us where you are watching from. We would like to acknowledge you. Tell us where you are watching from. Cotonou, wow, that's nice. That's nice. That's nice. That's nice. That's nice. That's nice. Delta State, I see you worry. Turkey. Turkey, the person from Turkey, if you're on Instagram, can you reach me? We're also planning to do an event in Turkey. So it would be nice to connect with you. I don't know how Turkey works or how it operates, but it would be nice to connect with you when we come. Texas, Houston. Francis, how are you? United States of Abia, that's the USA. I see you. Halifax. Halifax is the city Pastor Majesty plans to buy a house near the water if she can. So let's have faith for that. Toby from Nashville, Tennessee. How are you? We're in Nashville, Toby, and we're looking for somebody to come and take us out or pick us from the airport. Why didn't you respond when we're in Nashville? We're in Nashville last week. We're in Nashville last week. All right, welcome everybody. So we're going to jump right into it. This is Saturday night, and we have all the sessions have been great. Today is the second to the last day, then tomorrow will be the last day. It has been 1 week of exhorting men, challenging men. It has been amazing. We've covered a lot of topics, and today we have a very, 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 very special guest in the house. He's an expert in health, particularly, and a few other areas, but is well known particularly for natural health. And we have the honor of having with us today Reverend Tony Akinyemi. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. It's an honor to be with you and on your platform.
Thank you so much, sir.
We celebrate you.
Thank you, sir. We've known you for many, many, many years, so it's good to be doing something together. Finally, I don't know if you remember that we came to your church to minister some many years ago.
Yes. Yes.
We've had a long-term relationship. But welcome, sir. Welcome, sir.
Merci beaucoup.
Yeah, so for all those watching, please go and call any man, remind any man or anybody they should come on We're Live so that they won't miss this great, great event. So, sir, the floor is yours. You can share a bit, then people will ask you questions after that.
All right. Let me once again say a big thank you for having me on this great platform. And we want to thank God for you and what you do in the kingdom. We pray for greater grace, for greater impact, and greater speed. Yeah, you've asked me to share a few thoughts on long life, on legacy, on leverage, and what have you. So we will just do some kind of scratching on the surface and have a bird's eye view.
Yes.
And then hopefully subsequently we can dive in deeper. Yeah. So we're talking about long life, we're talking about legacy, we're talking about leverage. Now, of course, we all know that legacy has to do with the mark that we leave behind, maybe after we have left the stage. You know, the impact that we have made on the world. It's not about fame or fortune. It's about making a difference, no matter how small that difference is, in our sphere of influence, along the lines of the grace that God has put upon our lives. Each one of us came here on assignment. Nobody is an accident. We came into this world on an assignment. And it is expected that at the end of the day, our footprints should be on the sand of time, touching lives, warming hearts, inspiring minds. Legacy is not reserved for, those who have a lot of means in terms of money. Everyone has the opportunity to leave a legacy. It's not just for the wealthy and the powerful. So that's the starting point. Every person believing that they can actually build a legacy is accessible to each and every one of us. Now, when we talk about leverage, I would say that will be relating to how to harness the opportunities, the relationships, the resources available to us, whether they be spiritual resources or natural resources, every resource available, how to harness them, leverage them in building the legacy that we hope to leave behind within the frame of the time that God has allocated to us on the planet. So that is as far as that is concerned. Then the real issue for me here is looking at the resources we need in our effort to build a legacy. What are the resources needed? I know if we ask an average person, can you itemize 5 to 7 things that you want God to put into your hands as by way of resources for you to build whatever it is you want to build? An enterprise, a ministry, a business, a family, whatever it is you want to build. Would you just list 5 things, maybe 7 things that if God were to ask you, give me 5 things that I need by way of resources to build a legacy? Many of us, we list all kinds of things. Maybe more money, maybe more, contacts with the powers that be, opportunities here and there on big platforms and all of that. Very few people will probably include on their list that they need sufficient time in good health and with a sound mind, because that for me is a very critical factor in building a legacy or in building any enterprise or in having an opportunity to impact others. We must have sufficient time to accomplish that, and not just time for the sake of time. We talk about life expectancy in different parts of the world, and some people spend 70 years, 80 years, 90 years. They live long, but maybe the last 30 years or thereabouts of their lives, they're actually living on what I call crutches. They live on crutches. In other words, they're just barely getting by as far as energy is concerned, as far as wellness is concerned, as far as well-being is concerned, as far as soundness in their minds, soundness in their body, as far as these things are concerned. So the question is, how can we have a health span rather than just a lifespan? A health span. In other words, living long in a healthy state so that we are able to concentrate and focus on our life's work and accomplish what we set out to accomplish. So I'll be touching on a few nuggets this evening. The first one is what I have highlighted. Time is one of the resources that we need, sufficient time to be able to build a legacy or build any enterprise for that matter. And that time is measured in years. at the end of the day. If you're 70 years old, it gives us an idea of how much time you have spent on the planet. If you're 50 or 40 or 30, that gives us an idea of how much time you have spent so far on the planet. So time is one of the greatest resources we need in building legacy. But if we look across the globe today, life expectancy is, it varies from country to country. I was just checking earlier today which country has the longest, the highest life expectancy in the world as at the year 2025. And the name of the country that came up was Monaco. Monaco has the highest life expectancy as at 2025. And even there, they live to the average of 86.61 years. 86.61. That's the highest. It doesn't mean that people don't go past that age, but that's the average. Some people live probably past 100. Maybe some die at 40. When you add them up and you find the average, it comes to 86.61 for Monaco. And the country with the lowest life expectancy was Central African Republic. That was in their life expectancy is in the low 50s. Okay. Nigeria is also in the 50s, maybe the high 50s life expectancy. So whichever country anyone is, you can find out the life expectancy in your country. And typically, there are many things that define how long and how well people live. I don't want to dive into those factors now. We will look at the nitty-gritty much later. But what I want to underscore is the fact that biblically speaking and scientifically speaking, if we look at the theological angle and the scientific angle, we see a kind of agreement between the two in terms of the potential that each one of us have in order to, live long on the face of the earth. The Bible talks about 120 years, in Genesis chapter 6. Even though some people argue that Psalm 90 says 70 to 80. Yeah. But if you look at Psalm 90 very critically, you find out that Psalm 90 was actually a psalm of Moses, not a psalm of David. It was Moses that wrote Psalm 90. And if you look at the heading of Psalm 90, you will find something interesting there. In most Bibles, by the way, it says a prayer of Moses. Psalm 90 was a prayer of Moses. In other words, Psalm 90 is not God speaking to man. Psalm 90 was man praying to God. So everything we see in Psalm 90 is not a word from the Lord that is sacrosanct, that cannot be changed. But it was Moses simply making an observation. Said, Lord, I was the one that, you inspired to write Genesis, Exodus, Numbers, Leviticus, Deuteronomy. And you told me in Genesis chapter 6 that in this dispensation, our lifespan will be 120. But then in Psalm 90, he said, Lord, but God, my observation is different from what you promised. We are dying at 70. We are dying at 80. What's going on, Lord? That was what it was. It was a conversation that Moses was having with God there. And if you look at Psalm 90, verse 12, he actually began to pray, Lord, teach us to number our days, that we may apply our hearts to wisdom. Now, two things come clear out of that statement. Number one is the fact that when Moses was asking the Lord to teach us, it means that he assumes that we're ignorant of certain things and we need to be taught. In other words, potentially, God has already ordained that in this dispensation, we have the potential, the genetic potential, the biological potential to live up to 120 years. But then we are not living up to 120 years. So what's going on? So Moses is praying, God, teach us to know what we don't know that is making us die young, so that we can leverage that knowledge, leverage that understanding in order to be able to attain the potential of 120 years. To teach us is an admission of ignorance. It's an admission that we need help. We need to be instructed. We need to be guided. We need to be taught how to live well, how to live long, how to maximize our potential for life. And then it says to number our days so that we can apply our hearts to wisdom. And of course, we all know that, simply put, wisdom is the right and timely application of knowledge. If we know something and we know how to apply that knowledge in a timely manner, then we are wise. So Moses was asking for both knowledge as well as wisdom in that one prayer. Teach us to number our days, that we may apply our hearts to wisdom. Because it's one thing to know what to do, it's another thing to actually do what you know to do. So on the one hand, we need to know. On the other hand, we need grace from God for that commitment to be able to do what we know so that we can actually enjoy that potential that is already made available to us by God, the potential to live for 120. That's from a theological angle. If you go to the scientific angle, we will see an alignment there as well. There is a branch of science that is called the science of gerontology. That is the science of aging. Okay, and there is a theory in the science of gerontology that says that in the animal kingdom, if you look at all animals, you look at the goat, you look at the cow, you look at the elephant, you look at the lion, and all of those animals. In the animal kingdom, when the baby animal is born today, calculate how long it will take for that baby animal to reach biological maturity. For example, if that animal becomes a full-blown adult by age 5, I'm just choosing a hypothetical number now, multiply that number by 5, and that gives you the potential of life expectancy for that animal species. So if an animal grows from babyhood to adulthood in 5 years, if you multiply it by 5, that's 25 years. That means that the life expectancy for that particular species is 25 years potentially. Of course, anything can happen along the way that can shorten that lifespan. In the human category, accidents can claim lives, diseases can come along and claim life, and what I bet, all things being equal, multiply that time from childhood to maturity by 5, and that gives you potentially how long that species can live. If we bring that to the human class, we will find out that depending on which part of the world an individual is born, or maybe which part of the city an individual is born, if I'm going to use my city, Lagos, to illustrate, we have the highbrow areas where the billionaires and millionaires live. And we have the areas like the ghettos where the poorest of the poor also live. And their diets differ, their lifestyle differ, the hygiene that you see in the environments are also different. So what you see is that in the highbrow areas, people that we call in this part of the world Ajabota, they reach biological maturity by approximately age 17 and 18. When they are 17, 18, you see a young girl of 17 and 18 who in Lagos is raised and bred in Banana Island or in in Ikoyi. By 17, 18, she's already looking like an adult, full grown. Meanwhile, somebody 17 and 18 in Ajegunle or some other parts of the city, they still be looking like a young boy or a young girl. So the time it takes for a young girl or a young boy to reach that biological stature of maturity in the poor sectors of society is approximately 25 years. In the rich sector, approximately 17 to 18 years, which means that if you multiply those by 5, 17 times 5 will give you 85 years, and 25 by 5 will give you 125 years. So in the human class, the potential life expectancy that we should all have is between 85 and 125. And the Bible says 120 theologically. Science says between 85 and 125. So there's a form of alignment there, which means that each one of us has the potential to live up to, let's assume, the biblical position of 120 years. Now, if you look at that 120 years, the question then is, are we actually, the human race now, are we actually living that potential, 120 years? You see somebody who is 80, is already looking expired, looking tired, looking exhausted, sometimes bent over, sometimes, using support systems to continue to be alive, maybe with a pacemaker installed, maybe with a wheelchair, maybe with a walking stick, all kinds of different support systems to just keep things going. There's nothing wrong in those things. I mean, science has given us the opportunity to leverage them and continue to function, but then it can be better. That's the point I'm making. So why is it that we don't reach that 120, 125 threshold that we have the potential to reach? Because imagine if all of us, we've had very wonderful people who are very impactful, who are very relevant, who are doing great works that could benefit humanity, and suddenly at 70 they are gone. At 60 they are gone. Imagine if they had lived to 120, what they could have contributed more before they finally departed. So the question is, why are we living before our full potential comes around? Now, there are many factors that can influence that potential of life expectancy. Some of them are beyond human control. We call those ones in science, we call it non-modifiable factors. In other words, I can't modify them. There's nothing I can do about them, non-modifiable. But there are other factors also that influence life expectancy and good health. Those ones, we can do something about them. They are called the modifiable factors. Modifiable. Now, incidentally, it has been established scientifically that approximately 80% or thereabout of the factors that cut people's lives short and compromise people's health, approximately 80% of those factors are modifiable. In other words, they are under human control. There is something you and I can do about them. It is under our control. God has put those factors under our control. We can make adjustments, we can make modifications, and if we really do, they pay off in the end. The ones that are beyond human control, factors like your genetic makeup, for example, I mean, you can't change your genetic makeup. Of course, we know that in certain instances, there are some scientific, protocols that can help in that regard. But principally, we cannot change our genetic makeup the way so as to make us a different being altogether than what we were born to be. But the point I'm making is that there are modifiable factors, there are non-modifiable factors. So the reasonable thing to do is to be able to, separate the two. Which factors are under my control and which factors are beyond my control? The ones that are under our control, we must be wise enough and disciplined enough to take charge of those factors that we can modify. Now, that takes me to the next observation that I have made regarding people, human beings in general. Now, people are usually and typically intentional in building their career, intentional in building their businesses, their ministries, and various other enterprises. But when it comes to their health and their wellness, as well as their life expectancy or longevity, people often leave that to chance. That's my observation. If only we would pay the same attention and focus to the same way we build our businesses, build our ministries, build our homes and other enterprises, if we give the same attention and focus and intentionality to building our health and wellness, then it will pay off in the end. We shouldn't leave that part of our lives to chance. Now, the interesting thing is that most diseases, particularly those that claim lives readily, most of those diseases that afflict humanity are largely preventable. They are diseases that if we do the right things, we can actually prevent them from happening. It's not as if we are doomed to experience them. Even when we have the genetic predisposition, there are some things that we can still do to keep those genetic components dormant. Again, the science of genetics and epigenetics, have revealed to us that of all the genes that make up a human being, only 25% of our genes are automatic genes. 75% are non-automatic. What does that mean? It means that even if I have or I inherited the genes for certain diseases from my parents in my bloodline, let's say that, my great-grandfather was diabetic, my grandfather was diabetic, my father was diabetic, so diabetes runs in that bloodline, and I happen to be born into that bloodline, my family history suggests that, well, I am at higher risk for developing diabetes than the average person on the street because it runs in the family, in my family history. So which means that in my blood, there is the gene that codes for diabetes running in my blood. The fact that I inherited that gene does not mean that diabetes will express automatically, because that gene is a non-automatic gene. That gene will only express if I trigger it. In other words, if I do certain things to trigger it, or I fail to do certain things to keep it dormant. Okay, it is non-automatic. The genes that express, irrespective of what we do or do not do, those ones constitute just about 25% of our genes. 75% of our genes, we have to do something or fail to do something in order to trigger them. Okay, and for me, that's interesting, which means that I can no longer use the excuse that, oh, this thing runs in my family, therefore it's my turn to have it. No, you don't have to have it if only you know what to do. All right. So what I'm saying is that most diseases that afflict humanity are largely preventable if only we know what to do. My daughter and I collaborated, for example, and we wrote a book on defeating diabetes. I'm not a medical doctor, by the way. My daughter is a medical doctor. I am a nutritional consultant, okay? We collaborated to write that book to show people how to prevent diabetes on the one hand, if you don't have it already, and those who already have it, how to reverse it, particularly type 2 diabetes, because it is possible to put measures in place to prevent diabetes from happening, or if it has happened, to reverse it so that you can enjoy normal life and become an ex-diabetic. I've seen quite a number of people like that. So life can be structured, and life, you can be intentional about life. In the beginning, I said we have the potential to live for 120 years. If we're working with that potential and we want to phase it into different phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So if we phase our lives into 3 phases, it means that phase 1 will be the first 40 years of life, and phase 2 will be the next 40 years of life, and phase 3 will be the last 40 years of life, if we assume 120 years. So each phase is made up of 40, 40, 40 years, okay? Now, phase 1 has its unique features. The first 40 years of life, those are called our learning years. The learning years. Those are the years when we are inexperienced, we are rookies. That's when we go to school, we learn a trade, we are under tutors and mentors. Those are the learning years. We're learning many things. We are making mistakes. We are learning from our mistakes. We're learning from the mistakes of others. The first phase of life, those are the learning years. Another way to look at it is to call it the anabolic years, the years of building up. Anabolism is the technical term for building up, anabolism. All right. The second phase of life, that is our earning years. We leave the learning years and we transition into the earning years, where we're making our best income. Of course, it doesn't mean that we don't earn in the first phase. Of course, we do. But we earn our best income, or we should be earning our best income, because we are at our peak performance during that second phase of life, between age 40 and age 80. We are experienced, we are consultants, we are professionals, we are professors. We are no longer rookies, we are no longer amateurs, we are now doyens, all right? And we should be doing our best work during that window between age 40 and age 80. But unfortunately, you find that many people begin to crumble during that particular phase when they should be doing their best work. Between 40 and 80, you start seeing diabetes, you start seeing arthritis, you start seeing hypertension, you start seeing heart disease, you start seeing cancer, and all kinds of things that now become a distraction from the pursuit of our vision and our goals, the pursuit of our dreams, and the pursuit of building a legacy. all right, during that phase 2, which is very critical, the earning years. Scientifically, it's also called the homeostatic years, the years of balance, okay? The years where we are leveraging our experience, leveraging our relationships, our contacts, our friendships, and all of that to be able to get the best work done. And then we transition to phase 3, the last 40 years of life, which are our yearning years or our catabolic years. So we move from the learning years to the earning years to the yearning years, or from the anabolic years to the homeostatic years and then catabolic years. Now, different rules govern the different phases of life, and not quite many people are aware of that. The rules that you use to run your life in phase 1, you cannot use the same set of rules to run your life in phase 2. Neither can you use the rules you used in phase 2 to run your life in phase 3. You will run into trouble. As far as diet is concerned and lifestyle is concerned, we need to understand that as we are transitioning from phase to phase, there are adjustments that need to be made in terms of our diet, in terms of our lifestyle, in order for us to continue to maintain balance and maintain the best of health and soundness of mind through all the 3 phases of life. All right. So different rules apply to different phases of life, and that is how to make the most of things. Now, we're talking particularly to men in this regard. My experience as a wellness coach is that women talk more about their challenges and they seek help more than men. Men typically die in silence. They don't want to talk, maybe because of ego, or they want to brave it. They want to prove that they are macho. No man can run life solo. We need support, we need collaboration, and we need help. And we must own up, and we must admit the fact that we do really need help and leverage the opportunities available, the knowledge available, the services available, for us to be able to continue to enjoy the best of health throughout our lives. So let me say here that men, let's open up, let's talk, let's seek for support, let's seek for help. It is not a sign of weakness when we seek help. For me, it is wisdom. If I need help and I keep quiet and I don't talk, I don't seek help from the right quarters, and I crumble under the weight of that problem, then it will be my fault. Help is always available. God has arranged it such that whether it be spiritual support or professional support, or sometimes just people showing love and care, people showing concern, people showing solidarity. They say a problem shared is a problem half solved. When we leverage the opportunities we have to seek the support and the help that we need, we can be the better for it and be able to live a wholesome life to finish our assignments on earth. So on this note, I'd like to draw the curtain here for tonight in terms of my presentation. Then I open the floor for some questions and answers. But then let me say that we'll be diving deeper, subsequently in my sessions with Pastor Kingsley, when we discuss men's health in greater details. So the summary I will give is that we should leverage the opportunities we have to live long and build a lasting legacy. The Bible says in Proverbs 13, verse 22, the A part, it says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. Not just for his children, but even to his grandchildren. So for you to be able to do that, you need enough time on your hands to be able to accomplish that. A person who dies at 40 is not very likely. It's possible, but it's not very likely to be able to do something so tangible, to leave something for his children and his grandchildren. Okay? So let's take the opportunity we have to be able to live as long as possible, not just a long life for the sake of it, but a healthy long life, productive long life, with a sound mind, in a sound body, serving God and fulfilling destiny. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir. Can we also appreciation to Reverend Tony for this wonderful session? He just touched on the surface. So when you come for the main sessions, he will go details in terms of the best way to live, best kind of things to eat, simple things you can do to improve your longevity and all that. So this is just intro. Intro.
Yeah.
Yes. So that is amazing. That is amazing. We will take a few questions. If you have any specific questions, you could take it, and then he will answer. Please don't forget, Reverend Tony is going to be spending time with us properly in the inner circle with the men. We talk about men's health. You know, like he mentioned, one of the areas men don't take seriously at all is their health. It's just is bad worldwide. Men just don't take their health seriously. And that is why the statistics show that married men live longer than single men, because they have a woman nagging them
to policing them.
Yeah, policing them. So men on their own, they just don't take it seriously. So that's why married men generally live longer than single men. So you want to ask a question, please do that. And if you are here, you're a man, whether single or married, and you have not joined the inner circle, I don't know how you want to miss this. See the quality of people that are coming. These are not all the people. These are just some of the people that we could put on the poster. Amazing network of people you are going to be listening to and ministering to us throughout the year. 2026 is going to be a major year for all of us. Trust me. And we are taking steps already to make sure we get the kind of outcome we want. So Inner Circle is a coaching program for men to run for a whole year. We'll spend time with you, encourage you, be accountable to cover major areas of a man's life. We have a discount ending tomorrow midnight. If you want to take a whooping 20% discount, if it's something you like, all right, you can do it. Yinka is saying, can I identify as a man? We have some ladies sneaking in, all right? It's the no ask, no don't tell policy. If you don't tell us, we don't ask. Everybody just go their way. So we know some ladies are going to sneak in. We will not drive you, because even me, if I was a woman and I saw the quality of people coming to share, I would go and put my ear there, hear what is going on, and develop myself. So, but this is targeted for men generally, of all ages. It covers the 10 major areas of a man's life. Unfortunately, for most men, the only area they want to hear about is money, but they don't realize your health is also a financial decision. It's going to affect how long you live. Your marriage is a financial decision. It's going to affect how long you live. All those stuff. Please put the 10 areas we're majoring on. You know, so a lot of the things here are going to affect you. Your spiritual life is also a part of your financial decision. So it covers the 10 major areas of a man's life: faith, family, fatherhood, finance, fitness, fulfillment, friendships, freedom, faithfulness, and your future, your legacy. So nobody should miss this. Take advantage of the 20% discount. It's ending tomorrow. All right, the discount will end tomorrow. So all right, so if you have questions, please put up your questions. Reverend Tony will be here to answer those questions. All right, so please, everybody, all the men, if you have your wife here, you can register for your husband. It's a good gift to give him. We have 19-year-olds that have registered. You can register for your sons, you know, for your fiance, anybody that you know or like, take advantage of it. You can type your questions in the comment section now, even whether you're on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, and then we will highlight those questions. All right. So, Sami, I'll ask my own first question. We know that biologically there seems to be a lot of change in a human's life once they hit 40. All right, we noticed that there are a lot of changes. What are like one or two things that you think if a man hits 40, he needs to do?
Thank you very much. Wonderful question. one of the changes that come along with age, particularly when you reach that 40, is that your metabolism begins to slow down. In other words, the rate at which you are able to process the food that you eat, digest it, utilize it, and eliminate the waste. That process begins to slow down. Number two, muscles begin to get, muscle wastage, so to speak. We start losing muscle weight from that age onwards if we are not intentional in making sure that we are rebuilding the muscle. That's another thing that happens. Number three is that at that age, psycho-emotionally, there is this tendency to start, going into what we call midlife crisis. And all of these things have a way of impacting on a man's health at the end of the day. Let me just limit it to those three for now, and then offer some antidotes. Once metabolism slows down, there are at least two things one can do to mitigate that. One is to be intentional in being physically active. In other words, physical activity like exercise, for example, to avoid sedentary living. Because when you are sedentary, you're always seated in front of your laptop or in your office, seated, in your car, and you're not active. You are further compounding that slow metabolism. But when you become very active intentionally, then you can support that, food processing mechanism in your system. So not being sedentary, but being active is going to be an antidote to the slow metabolism that we begin to experience at that age. All right, so that's very, very important. And then muscle weight also. We begin to lose muscle weight and start gaining fat weight from that age onwards. Again, there are categories of exercises that can be done to ensure that we gain more muscle or retain our muscle, and then we melt away fat. There are strength exercises that we can do, or weight-bearing exercises. Three categories of exercises are very important: aerobic exercises, flexibility or stretching exercises, and then weight-bearing or strength exercises. So in the category of strength exercises, that will help maintain our muscle. And then, of course, the type of food we eat should also provide quality protein to maintain our muscle, so we don't lose muscle weight and replace it with fat weight. And then we begin to develop a pot belly, and that can begin to predispose us towards all kinds of metabolic disorders. So that's very important. Then the psycho-emotional portion, mental health aspect, is the midlife crisis from that age onward. Many of us set out in our teen years, 18, 19, 20, early 20s, and we have goals and targets for ourselves. By the time I'm 30, I should have hit my first billion. By the time I'm 40, I should have bought a house in so place and that place. And then now you are 40, you have not even bought half a plot of land, and the things you set out that you thought you will have achieved by 40, they look like they're not working out. Sometimes you also look at the choices and decisions you have made in your 20s and 30s. Now at 40, you are looking at yourself. Am I sure I made the right decisions? Am I sure I made the right choices? Maybe choice of career, sometimes even choice of marriage partner, And then it begins to dawn on us that it looks like time is running on me. And then before you realize it, you're becoming depressed. You're becoming emotionally imbalanced. You're becoming, and you're losing it. That can be very, very dangerous from that age onward if it is not properly managed. One needs a lot of counsel, a lot of support, a lot of prayer to navigate through that season of life. Of course, it happens to individuals in varying degrees. Some people don't even realize that they went through that phase, but quite a number of people do. So depending on each person's case, we need to seek for help and support. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, sir. Team members, highlight this question here. Can you see it, sir?
I'm trying to enlarge it here. Okay. What can wives do to help husbands with menopause?
Menopause. Menopause.
Menopause. It's actually called andropause. It's called andropause. You know?
Yeah.
Now, for women, it is menopause, but for men, it is andropause. Yeah. Now, andropause is not as pronounced in terms of the symptoms. It's not as pronounced in men as menopause is pronounced in women. When women are going through menopause, I mean, there are telltale signs to let you know that this woman is going through menopause. The major one is either, the perimenopausal symptoms, like the woman have irregular menstruation. Maybe she menstruates once in 3 months or twice in a month, and all kinds of irregularities beginning to set in until the final cessation of menstruation. Then we say that woman has become fully menopausal. And then there are other signs like night sweats, mood swings, hot flashes. The skin begins to become, drier than when they were younger, and wrinkles begin to set in, and all kinds of. Those are all signs that are very clear signs in a woman. But when you look at a man, you don't see those signs. So it's sometimes very difficult to tell. One of the things that you see in men is they begin to experience low libido, erectile dysfunction. They begin to have the tendency to have pot belly, and such other things. Those are all signs that the man is going through a transition period into andropause. And they are all premised basically on hormonal changes going on in the body. And they can be mitigated. They can all be mitigated if you seek the right counsel.
Yes, sir. All right, sir. Please, when we come to the inner circle, one of the things I want you to major on is erectile dysfunction. We get so many reports of that.
Yeah.
And I know men are always buying all kinds of herbs and Chinese things. So we'd like you to measure on that when we do the inner circle. So do you have any other questions for Reverend Tony? Any other questions before we allow him sign out? Team, is there questions from Instagram or something? Okay, this question says, sir, is there any health risk for someone who's working at home as a tutor that teaches online from laptop for hours, especially if the person is not doing any physical exercise?
Yes, post-COVID, the idea of working from home became very pronounced. And I have taken a keen look at the pros and cons. Of course, on the one side, it reduces stress of commuting, from home to work. It reduces the time you spend in traffic, 10 stop, and all of that. It reduces the amount of money you spend on transportation or in buying fuel into your car. And it gives you more time that you can play with. If you resume at work in the office by 8, probably leave home by 6:30 to get there at 8 o'clock. But if you're working from home, you can just, enjoy yourself until 5 minutes to 8, and then walk to your laptop and start work. So those are the pros. But if you look at the downside, number one, it makes people become sedentary. They just sit down, no activity. That is a minus. If you're working from home, you must be intentional in getting a certain, number of minutes per day of exercise. Some people tell me that, when I go to the kitchen to cook or I'm cleaning the house, that's exercise. I say, no, that's not exercise. That is stress. You are adding stress to the situation. Exercise has to be intense to a certain degree, and it has to be structured, and it has to be sustained for at least 30 minutes, 45 minutes before you call it an exercise. Okay? So that is number one, sedentary living. That's the downside. The second one is that it keeps you close to your refrigerator. It's easy to just get up and go in there and pick something to snack on. You pick popcorn, you pick donut, you pick biscuit, you pick that one. And before you know it, you are gaining weight excessively. And that can be very, very dangerous because it can affect our health at the end of the day. So and then the third one is mental health. When we go to work and we mingle with fellow human beings, there's a kind of sanity that it brings to us. But when you're all by yourself at home, just with your laptop, that is another red flag there for mental health. So if you are the type, you must make sure you find community, whether it is in church or anywhere, to connect with people so that your mental health can be sound. The fourth one has to do with your eyes. You know, there is electromagnetic, frequency and radiation coming from your screens. Right here, I have a number of glasses that I normally use. This one is called the blue light blocking glasses. It's not reading glasses, it's blue light blocking glasses. Usually when I'm looking at my screen anytime from 8 p.m. onwards, I like to wear this because it blocks blue light from my screen from entering my eyes. We don't have the time to discuss the science of blue light and the other colors of light. But when blue light enters your eyes after 8 p.m. onwards, it impacts on the production of a particular hormone in the body called melatonin. And that affects our sleep rhythm, our circadian rhythm. And so you need to do something to make sure that after 8 p.m., blue light doesn't enter your eyes anymore. I also have another one that I use, to also help. There are actually 3 of them. This is another one. This one also helps protecting my eyes. Okay, yeah, this one looks spotty, isn't it? Yeah, I use this one when I'm driving and the sun is very bright. Okay, that's the one I use. It's not just sunglasses. It also helps in improving vision. At the end of the day, it's infused with quantum energy. Okay, and then there's a third one that is called the pinhole glasses, which helps to refocus my lenses so that my vision is clearer and sharper. And then you just wear that one for about 30 minutes a day, and that's all. And it does adjustments to the focusing of your eyes and your lenses. Wow. So the eye health is very important when you look at devices, either your phone, your laptop, your iPad, even television screens. If you're staring at it all the time, I would suggest that you get some of these glasses to protect your eyes. And then you also eat foods that have nutrients targeted at the eyes, things like carrots, for example. And then the berries, the bilberry in particular, bilberry, blackberry, blueberry. When I say blackberry in those days, people would think that we're talking about BlackBerry phone. I mean blackberry fruit, blackberry fruit. Okay, those are very good for the eyes. Thank you.
Thank you. So somebody's asking, are there major foods or fruits that men should eat in particular?
Yeah, there are certain things that can help certain aspects of men's health. There are health conditions that are common to both males and females. Like I just mentioned, eye health now and carrots. Both men and women can eat carrots. But when it comes to men, the number one thing that distinguishes a man from a woman in terms of health, and where men usually have health challenges, is the prostate. The prostate, and the prostate is a very, very small gland that is very powerful. It influences many things. It's involved in reproduction. It's involved in many, many other things. Okay, so prostate health is very key in men, and one of the things that I recommend to men to eat for prostate health, number one, is any fruit or vegetable that is very bright red in color. Red in color. Tomato is one of them. Watermelon is one of them. Pomegranate is one of them. Guava is one of them. Now, what makes tomato and watermelon red is a pigment that is called lycopene. Lycopene is very good in preventing prostate enlargement, prostate cancer, prostate inflammation, prostate nodules, and what have you. So anything red, naturally red, not the one with color dyed, naturally red as God created it. It contains elements to protect a man's prostate. Very, very important.
Well, again, I'm sure Dr. Tony will go in depth in the inner circle for men. Please, if you have not signed up, if you're a man, don't miss this opportunity. I guarantee you to be life-changing and to be very worth it. We'll probably take this as probably maybe the last question for today. It says, sir, please, is there any risk for someone taking ice water That's, I mean, block water.
Well, it depends on the timing that you take it. Sometimes we are in the tropics, and it could be very, very humid, very warm. You just need something to cool you down. So when you take chilled water like that, it's okay just to cool yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. But taking it with a meal is not advisable, because it will slow down the digestion of your food. You know, food gets digested at a certain temperature. So when you take that chilled, almost iced water along with your food, you are slowing down the transit time of food in your GI tract, and that can create problems. When food stays longer than necessary, ideally, from the time you put food in your mouth and swallow it to the time the waste product is coming out through the backyard, should be between 16 and 24 hours transit time. 16 to 24 hours. What you eat, the waste should be coming out from the backyard. But when you take that cold water with it, you will increase the transit time beyond the normal. And the longer food stays in your system, the more the propensity for fat to go rancid, for protein to putrefy, and for carbs to ferment. And that can generate a lot of abdominal gas that can cause bloating and, poor digestion, poor food assimilation. I mean, the whole essence of eating your food is to process it and take what is good out of it and eliminate the waste. But if you now impair that process through what you do, then you're not, maximizing the opportunity you have in that meal. So I wouldn't suggest that you take cold water with your meal, but you can take it on an empty stomach to cool yourself if you feel very hot.
Wow, that's very good. That's very helpful, sir. Somebody is asking that is red apple or even maybe red grapes part of these red fruits you mentioned that first time?
Now, if you look at red grapes, we call it red grapes, but it's not actually red in terms of red color. It tends more towards purple than red. Yeah, so the substance you find in that is actually called resveratrol. That's the one you find in red grapes, resveratrol, which is an anti-aging property. It has this antioxidant and anti-aging property. They exert their own benefits. But in terms of the prostate, the tomatoes of this world, the watermelons of this world, the pomegranates of this world, those are the ones that are targeted.
What of red apple?
Yeah, I mean, the pigment on the skin is just, if you take red apple, it's not red inside. It's just the skin that has that red color. And these days, they are even spraying them, to make them look that red. So what you find in the skin of apple is actually called apple pectin, which is a kind of soluble fiber, which is also good in its own right, particularly for digestive health, to help bowel movement and regularity. But again, the pigment on the skin is not that strong enough. It exerts its own benefit, but not that strong enough for the prostate.
Wow, okay. This person says, is taking vitamins or fish oil, for example, Centrum, important on a daily basis if you live in a county where the weather is more gray and rainy?
Now, supplements, multivitamins, multiminerals, and what have you, they are supplements. I will use accounting terms to illustrate. We have the main budget, and then we have the supplementary budget. Yeah. So supplements represent the supplementary budget. Your food, your diet is the main budget. So you should, yes, you can use supplements, but don't make it the mainstay of your wellness program. Make your food, your diet, the main thing. Then use the supplements to fill the gaps. Because of the agricultural practices of these days and the depletion in our soils, our food no longer have the right amounts and quantity of the nutrients, particularly the micronutrients that we need. So sometimes we need to supplement. So it's a good idea to supplement, but you have to be sure of the source of the supplements you're using. Fish oil, for example, can be contaminated with mercury if your source is not credible. So if I'm going to buy fish oil, I make sure that the company that is making it is a trusted company. They do their testing to make sure there's no mercury in the oil, or they do molecular distillation to remove any contamination before they package. Fish oil is very good as omega-3 oil. It has anti-inflammatory property. It's good for the nerves. It's good for the eyes. It's good for the skin. It's good for the brain. It's good for the heart. But then if it's contaminated with mercury, mercury is a toxic metal that can exert its own neurological damage and can cause various other problems in the system. So my answer is supplements, yes, they are good, but be sure of your sources and don't build your wellness plan on supplements. Build it on an appropriate diet and lifestyle and use supplements as the icing on the cake.
Somebody said, what do you say about claims regarding eating all the colors of the rainbow in vegetables?
Yeah, like we already mentioned red here. Red has its own benefits. Green has its own benefits. Yellow has its own benefits. You know, different colors have their different benefits. Green, for example, is rich in magnesium, is rich in chlorophyll, is rich in folate. Okay? If it is purple, it's rich in anthocyanins. If it is orange color, like carrot, it's rich in beta-carotene, alpha-carotene. If it is white, like cauliflower, it is rich in indole-3-carbinol. These are different substances you find in different colors. So when you build a meal, let's say vegetable salad, for example, and you have the rainbow color, what you are doing is you are having the best of 7 worlds. It's a very great idea. Very great idea.
Wow. Okay. Maybe this will be the last question, but the questions are now pouring in now that I want to sign out. Somebody says, I take Neocell. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this as well. I take Neocell collagen supplement. Is this healthy? He said, I want to add lycopene to my diet. Would you recommend eating raw tomatoes or cooked ones? So I don't know how many questions are inside it.
Now, collagen is like the best illustration I give is if you want to cast a decking, for example, you have these iron rods that is first of all put in there before you pour the concrete. The iron rod is what actually is the strength that is holding that cast. That's what collagen does also in the body. Okay, it's what makes your skin, you know, strong and elastic and holds it in place. Your bones, your structure, your body structure. Collagen plays a very important role in that. So it's a good idea to supplement with collagen. If the brand name you mentioned is just a brand name, but collagen is collagen. Different companies make different, make collagen, and there are different types. You have type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4 of collagen. So if you're buying a collagen product, look for the one that has all the 4 types in combination in one product. That helps a great deal. The second part of the question is whether we should cook tomato. Whether we should cook tomato or eat it raw. Yeah. See, when it comes to tomato and carrots and such other vegetables and fruits, when you eat them raw, they exert a different benefit. When you cook them, they exert another kind of benefit. Okay. For example, if you take carrots raw, you get more of the antioxidant, more of the vitamin A effect. The beta carotene inside that raw carrot is easily converted to vitamin A in the body, which is good for the eyes. And then when you cook it, you get more of the antioxidant effect rather than the vitamin A. Okay, so my suggestion is eat some raw, eat some cooked, so you can get the benefit of the cooked and the benefit of the raw.
Wow. Thank you so much. And we're looking forward to having you in the inner circle where we'll go into more and more details. But this one alone has been very, very refreshing. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. See you in the inner circle, sir.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. We know you have church tomorrow, so we don't want to keep you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. Do have a very blessed evening. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So this is just, ladies and gentlemen, this is just a little taste of. You can see how he's not even checking a book or anything. He's just saying this. He knows these things already. No, man. Trust me, if you see when you attend any session he really goes into for men, you'll be blessed. Trust me. You can see that he's not even checking these things. I'm here. So this is what I'm hearing for the first time. He's not even checking it in a book. these are things he already knows what each thing is bringing. Again, when I see, I don't know any man that will give me a good reason why he will miss Inner Circle, to be honest with you. And it will cost you more not to attend it. Somebody's asking, should I borrow to attend it? Absolutely. Do whatever you can to get it. If not, that stealing is a crime. I'd have said, go and rob somebody, get it. But of course, don't do that. Do what you can to join this session. Trust me, if money is an issue, you are the one that even need the session more than anybody else, because we need to take care of that money issue once and for all. So again, if you hang out with billionaires like this for a year, you cannot be broke. Trust me, whatever amount you used to join this thing will no longer be big money to you in your life. I was telling the guys that I went to a car shop one time, and in that car shop, you can order your car. They will go and manufacture exactly all the colors you want. There's one color in that car store that is over $100,000. That's the color of the car, it's not the car. As if you want the car to come in that color, it's $115,000 or so. Do you understand? So there are circles you hang out in. This $1,000 that you are worrying about will never be big money again to you. So you have to do what you can to be in those circles. All right, take advantage of it. This is the link. There's a 20% discount. It will reflect at the checkout. You'll see the code, because somebody was asking if you see the code. And if you need help, you can see the numbers we are putting up here. Reach out any of the guys with the numbers. They will walk you through how to do it. All right. There's a 20% discount ending tomorrow night. My advice is that you take advantage of this as fast as you can. All right, take advantage of this as fast as you can. It will be a great blessing to you. All right, Inner Circle, see this quality of speakers that are coming. It makes no sense not to want to hang out with these people and let them coach you, let them talk with you. And like I said, it covers the 10 major areas of a man's life. Most men are just building for career and money. That's where their life starts and ends. Family life is very weak. Fatherhood is very weak. Fitness in terms of your health is very weak. And co. So we want to help you become a well-rounded man. And we'll help you set your goals for the next 5 years of your life, which will be better rounded than you normally would do it. So take advantage of it. It changed my life. Planning for 5 years changed my own life. And I want to help you walk on that journey. For 2026. All right, you don't want to miss it. The sessions will start end of November, so you have to register ASAP. All right, please, let's jump on it. Let's take advantage of it. It will be a great blessing. I'm already excited, looking forward to it. So excited. Looking forward to it. All right, so hope you guys enjoyed today. Let me see in the comments if you enjoyed today's session. If you enjoyed today's session, let me see. Then tomorrow, we're having Paul Fo. Paul Fo is a sales coach. Everybody needs to learn how to sell. Everybody needs to learn how to sell. All right? In life, you're either selling your vision, selling your products, selling yourself. You must learn how to sell. You don't want to miss Paul Fo tomorrow. That's the last session. What nice guys don't know about selling. You're putting the wrong picture. What nice guys don't know about sales and marketing. We'll be talking to Paul Fo. He's a global sales expert. You don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss it. Paul Fo. You don't want to miss it. Yeah, so see you same time tomorrow. That's the last session for this live event. So we've done a whole week. Wow, that's been impactful. Hope you are telling all the men you know to go and register. All the men that are here, please come and register for Inner Circle. Trust me, take my word for it. You cannot regret it. And if that money is looking big to you right now, then that means you desperately need to join the Inner Circle. You are the one that desperately needs to join it, because that money can't be big money for you. It's not the best thing that money is big money for you. So we need to break that barrier as well. So you even need it more than you think. All right. So look forward to seeing you tomorrow night. Look forward to seeing you in Inner Circle. I'm excited. We're getting close to the launch, getting close to the start. All the coaches and speakers are also ready and excited. We'll see you in class. So thank you guys for joining tonight. Don't forget our numbers. It's basically for men. Yes, Inner Circle is targeted for men. However, there's a don't tell, don't ask policy. If some women I know are going to sneak in there. If you don't tell us, we will not ask you. We'll continue all mind our business. All right. I know some women are going to sneak in there. Like I said, if I was a woman and I see the list of speakers, I will be tempted to also join. But it's basically for men. So can we register for someone? Absolutely. That's what we're saying now. Register for your husband, your fiancé, your brothers. We have teenagers that have signed up. Their mother signed them up. Some even got their stepmom to sign them up. So we have all kinds of people. So definitely you can sign up for someone. Absolutely. And the discount ends tomorrow. It's a whipping 20% discount. So it's a significant amount. I think you should take advantage of it. It's definitely a significant amount. All right. And trust me, it's very cheap. Most of these guys here, to do 1 hour with them will cost from 5,000 US upwards. And we are getting the whole year for 1,000 or thereabout. Like I always say, except your maths is not very good. If your maths is good, then you will not miss this for anything. All right. So can I make part payment to secure a discount? Talk to our guys. What you mean by part payment, I believe. Talk to our guys. You can see the numbers there. They will be a blessing to you. They will help you. Thank you, guys. God bless you. We will see you tomorrow in the final evening session. God bless, guys.